General Hospital, Drew's trap, Curtis exposed, and Trina's world shattered **** in the ever-twisting saga unfolding in Port Charles. The battle lines are shifting yet again, and Drew Cain appears to be tightening his grip on a scheme that could unravel everything Curtis Ashford has been trying to protect. As calculated moves give way to devastating consequences, it's not just reputations on the line, it's the very soul of a fractured family. The week of July 7th to 11th promises revelations, betrayals, and a turning point that may not be undone. It begins with a whisper in the dark, a choice made in secrecy by Kai Taylor, a choice that may define his future and destroy his past. For all of Kai's romantic involvement with Trina Robinson, his loyalty has never truly rested with her. Beneath the affection and promises lay a buried allegiance to Drew Cain, an allegiance that reared its head at the worst possible moment. In a decision that stunned even those who know Kai best, he quietly delivered a bombshell to Drew. Curtis was plotting to bribe Jacinda in order to dismantle Drew's defense and falsely implicate him in a scheme involving drugs and coercion. It was the kind of betrayal that fractures not just relationships, but entire families. Curtis, desperate to salvage what remains of his credibility and shield Trina from the dark underbelly of Drew's manipulations, turned to Felicia Scorpio for help. His plan was straightforward: locate Jacinda, bring her back to Port Charles, and convince her to lie about Drew's actions on a fateful night neither of them want to publicly relive. According to Curtis' plan, Jacinda would testify that Drew had not only purchased drugs willingly, but that their encounter was mutually transactional, an attempt to paint Drew not as a victim of entrapment but as a complicit participant. In Curtis' mind, this wasn't just a legal maneuver. It was a way to reclaim the upper hand before Drew's influence infected more lives. But Curtis miscalculated. He underestimated Kai, and he grossly underestimated Drew. Armed with Kai's intel, Drew remained outwardly calm but inwardly calculated. While Curtis was coordinating with Felicia and preparing for the encounter with Jacinda, Drew was already moving to turn the table. Whether through Kai's cooperation or his own cunning, Drew appeared to install a discreet surveillance mechanism. One designed to record Curtis' meeting with Jacinda without anyone being the wiser. The goal wasn't just to catch Curtis in the act. It was to document every word, every bribe, every lie, and to expose the rot behind the supposed act of justice Curtis had justified to himself. As the pieces moved into place, the trap began to tighten. Felicia returned to Port Charles with Jacinda in tow, and Curtis seized his moment. Behind closed doors, he made his offer. But what he didn't know, what neither he nor Jacinda suspected, was that every syllable was being recorded. Drew, always a step ahead, wasn't merely playing defense anymore. He had assumed control of the game. The fallout was immediate. As the week progressed, Drew emerged with a major victory, a phrase that barely encapsulates the seismic shift that was about to rock Curtis' world. With evidence of Curtis offering hush money and Jacinda's apparent compliance, Drew now held the power to publicly humiliate his rival, dismantle his carefully constructed narrative, and force him into submission, either through legal pressure or public shame. It was a devastating blow, one that would not only escalate their feud but perhaps bring it to a boiling point neither could retreat from. But the most painful repercussions were not for Curtis or even Drew. They were reserved for Trina. When the truth reached her, that Kai, the man she trusted, the man she believed in, had knowingly betrayed her family to serve Drew, her heartbreak turned into fury. For Trina, this wasn't just a conflict of loyalties. It was a revelation of who Kai truly was. She confronted the horrifying realization that, despite everything they had shared, she had never been his priority. Drew always had been. And in that knowledge came the crumbling of a bond she had once thought unbreakable. Kai, for his part, tried to defend himself. He insisted he was protecting Drew from a trap, that he was acting to preserve the truth. But to Trina, there was no truth that justified undermining her family, no loyalty that made betrayal acceptable. What Drew had done, and what Kai had allowed, had permanently altered her trust. And in the days to come, as this fracture widens, their relationship will begin to unravel under the weight of everything that's been said and unsaid. The fallout between Kai and Trina mirrors the larger unraveling happening across Port Charles. With each revelation, alliances crumble and new ones form in their place. Drew, now seemingly in full control, may have cornered Curtis, but his victory has come at a cost. The emotional wreckage is spreading fast, and no one, not even the supposed victor, will escape untouched. In the coming days, questions will rise like smoke from the wreckage. Will Drew use the recording to publicly destroy Curtis, or will he dangle it as leverage in a deeper game? Can Trina ever look at Kai the same way again? And how long can anyone in Port Charles survive in a world where loyalty shifts as fast as shadows and even love becomes a weapon? Stay tuned. The next move could change everything.